18 October 2025, dawn leaks over the western Pacific. High above the seam of typhoon-scoured clouds, an MQ-4C Triton glides on wide white wings, its SAR and AIS collectors knitting a map from whispers. The feed rides laser-tight links to a carrier strike group on silent MCON. Along the 9- frontier, wakes cross like scratches on glass. On the Triton's console, icons bud and multiply. Deck crews on planned carriers, Fujian and Shandong spot jets to the waist. Renhai and Luyang III escorts pivot into a screen. A small, cool voice tags the pattern. Flight ops plus heavy pickets probable demonstration. Deterrence by theater, not by shot. Aboard the flagship, the order is clean. Task Force Viper, find, fix, and hold. We finish only if forced. EA-18G Growlers lift to sanitize the spectrum. Pate Ampere's Poseidon's net sonobuoys into a shimmering wall. An E-2D turns like a patient clock. Below, a Virginia-class boat listens, and the ocean holds its breath. For months, satellites and sub-launch drones had traced the slow tightening of China's blue water posture. The Fujian's electromagnetic catapults were no longer for trials. Her deck shimmered with live ordnance, while Shandong played shadow and foil. Opposite, Arleigh Burke destroyers set spy arrays to low probability of intercept, their cones meshing into a lattice of watchfulness. The air itself seemed braided. Radar paints, noise barrages from EA-18G Growlers, and discreet deception bursts that billowed into a digital fog of war. Washington's directive was austere. Deter, don't ignite. The find, fix, finish kill web must prove it can hold a fight at arm's length finish without firing, by making any first shot obviously losing. Every ping, handshake, and spoof carried policy on its back. In the operations room, officers read spectral plots like auguries. A blip blooms, fades, reappears. A bearing line seems to lean toward fate. A Pate Ampere's Poseidon stitched sonobuoys into a quiet fence. An MQ-4C Triton pushed wide SAR sweeps over merchant lanes, scrubbing civilian tracks from phantom ones. Far above, an E-2D Hawkeye cycled picture calls, balancing clarity against MCON. To the east, a B-1 waited with El Razum in cold racks. Farther out, a B-52 orbited to telegraph resolve. Below the thermocline, a Virginia-class submarine shadowed the carrier screen, Max 48 hushed and ready. On the Chinese side, Type 055 Renhai cruisers blinked fire control just long enough to whisper a threat, while Type 52D destroyers stretched the A2 divided by AD umbrella to the horizon. Two doctrines, two ladders of escalation, one slip from miscalculation. Deterrence depends on narrative. Who looks disciplined? Who looks cornered? Tonight, both stories are being written in electrons. If you held command right now, would you stand down or strike first? Press 1 to hold the line or 9 to take the shot. The first contact came not with a missile, but with a ping. A single sharp acoustic pulse rolled through the Philippine basin, caught by a Pate Ampere's Poseidon's buoy grid. Analysts leaned forward. It wasn't civilian. Pattern matched to a Type 93 Ampere's Shang-class submarine, 60 miles off the Arleigh Burke starboard flank. Within seconds, USS North Dakota, a Virginia-class hunter, adjusted trim and drifted into firing geometry, her hull creaking softly like a predator inhaling. Above, E-2D Hawkeye operators watched radar ghosts bloom and fade spoofed tracks, false signatures weaving through the atmosphere. EA-18G Growlers clawed at the spectrum, flooding enemy bands with static, their ALQ pods shrieking in visible storms. Yet amidst the noise, one clear thread emerged. Fujian had launched her first combat air patrol 4 J-35 stealth fighters, rising fast, fanning east to shadow the U.S. task force. F-35C from USS Ronald Reagan leapt skyward to intercept, contrails folding into mist as they entered the same radar shadow that hid their adversaries. Inside their helmets, pilots saw the world dissolve into sensor glyphs and phantom targets. Every blip might be real or bait. In the deep, North Dakota's fire control officer whispered through the dark, 2-1, ready. 2 Mike 48 ADCAP armed silently. At the same instant, The Shang below fired countermeasures, a cloud of decoys bursting like underwater flares. Both torpedoes lost lock a kill, denied by physics and fear. Then, the first non-kinetic strike hit. A Chinese cyber intrusion slipped through a relay drone, scrambling ISR data for 8 seconds. Just 8 seconds, but over 1,000 miles of ocean. That meant blindness. In those moments, a Renhai-class cruiser shifted course undetected, her fire control radar sliding into optimal range. In the command center, the tension was tangible, an electric stillness. The fine fix-finish architecture trembled on the edge of escalation. One misread blip, one nervous trigger, could turn the Pacific into a flashpoint. Beneath the dim lights, someone muttered, "This is how wars start, not with noise, but with silence." Night rolled across the South China Sea, like ink spilling from a wound. The fleets drifted in deliberate silence, each pretending not to see the other. But the sea told the truth. Radar wakes rippled across it, invisible to eyes but naked to sensors. The Fujian's deck lights dimmed. Her J-35 returned low on fuel. In response, USS Ronald Reagan launched a replacement CAP F-35C, ghosting into the humid dark weapons, safed, but ready. Within the Arleigh Burke's Combat Information Center, voices murmured over the low hum of data. Renhai shifting bearing 085. Looks like she's probing. A pause. She's painting us with surface search radar. The decision tree was razor thin. Respond and risk escalation, or stay silent and risk blindness. Every officer knew that deterrence sometimes meant not flinching, but nerves have limits. To the north, an EA-18G Growler caught a spike in the spectrum, a directed jamming pulse targeting the fleet's uplink. Seconds later, satellite comms flickered, and the kill web fractured like glass. For 20 heartbeats, the U.S. task force fought blind, until E-2D Hawkeye re-established partial control with a high-frequency relay. Relief washed through the crew, cold and brief. Underwater, USS North Dakota shadowed the Shang-class sub again, this time within torpedo range. The fire control screen pulsed red, perfect solution. Yet the command never came. Strategic restraint froze the hunter. Somewhere above, both nations' leaders watched through encrypted feeds, each praying the other would blink first. On the horizon, a Type 52D flared its illuminators, then snapped dark. Minutes later, decoy drones rose from a plan deck, spoofing missile profiles to trigger a mistake. The Arleigh Burke held fire, but shifted its Tomahawk Block 5 cells to retargetable standby. A silent confession that patience has edges. A Pate amperes pushed low, scattering fresh sonobuoys. The ocean answered with a choir of false returns. Even the weather felt partisan squalls carving corridors where radar couldn't breathe. The Pacific was now a mirror, reflecting restraint and fear in equal measure. The smallest ripple could shatter it. If this tension snapped tonight, whose resolve would you trust more, the American steel or the Chinese will? Press 1 for U.S. dominance, or 9 for plan endurance. At 2:14 local time, silence broke not with gunfire, but with light. A distant flare rose from the western horizon, blooming white and unreal. For a moment, both fleets froze. Then sensors caught the truth. An explosion aboard a neutral cargo vessel, flagged from the Philippines, drifting near the contested zone. The blast signature matched no known weapon, not plan, not US, Navy. Confusion spread like contagion. Fujian CIC reported radar locks on Phantom missiles. USS Ronald Reagan's defense grid auto-tracked non-existent threats. Somewhere in the digital fog, someone or something had slipped a ghost into both systems. An EA-18G Growler attempted to trace the interference, but its own feed was hijacked mid-flight, sending corrupted telemetry back to the carrier. On board the Arleigh Burke, commanders debated, was this a cyber attack, a false flag, or the first strike of an unseen hand? The wrong conclusion could set the sky on fire. In Beijing and Washington, hotlines blinked open, but connection stability fell to noise. Both sides transmitted the same directive, no first strike, unless confirmed hostile intent. Yet intent had become impossible to read. As dawn leaped across the sea, the flare smoke still lingered. twisting above the horizon like an unanswered question. Beneath it, two fleets stared through fog and silence, each seeing only its reflection in the other. Minutes later, a 8 amperes Poseidon dipped to photograph debris. Preliminary chem readouts hinted at improvised oxidizers, the kind that blur lines between accident and bait. The E2D triangulated a low-power LPI emitter, hopping across bands from an oceanographic research ship with its AIS recently spoofed. An unseen third actor, or a shadow within one of the fleets, had reached into the chessboard and moved a piece no one admitted owning. The first missile lock came at dawn. It wasn't fired, not yet, but every screen in USS Ronald Reagan's CIC bloomed red. Fujian's fire control radar had illuminated a US 8 amperes Poseidon still circling the debris field. The order went out instantly: evasive maneuvers, maintain IMCON, do not engage. But the Poseidon sensors saw something else: a radar spike from the Renhai-class cruiser, tracking not the aircraft, but the carrier itself. In seconds, the E2D Hawkeye confirmed missile tubes opening. The line between threat and intent finally vanished. EA-18G Growlers leapt into the sky, jamming the airwaves like thunder made of math. F-35C locked onto their Chinese counterparts, invisible to each other yet sharing the same killing ground. Down below, the Virginia-class submarine North Dakota received a burst transmission, encrypted coordinates, authorization pending. Inside the control room, the captain's hand hovered over the key. "Confirm hostile intent," came the voice from command. Static. Then silence. Suddenly, the Fujian's radar blinked offline, not by choice. A pinpoint cyberstrike had severed her link to the fleet. For 30 seconds, both sides' data streams desynchronized. To each, the other appeared to fire first. Warning klaxons screamed aboard Arleigh Burke, while over the horizon, the Type 52D launched flares that looked to every sensor like outbound missiles. In the chaos, one F-35C pilot squeezed his trigger halfway, pausing in the same heartbeat that a J-35 pilot did the same. Two enemies, unseen, both holding fire by an instinct older than war. The radar screen steadied. No missile had truly flown. And in that fragile stillness, every captain, every operator realized how close they'd come. A single packet, a single pixel from catastrophe. Below the thermocline, North Dakota rolled to firing depth, tubes flooded, heaters on, a breath from release. On the surface, Arleigh Burke's VLS lids rattled in sea spray, and far to the east, a B-1 slid onto a standoff line as squalls gnawed the horizon history, tightening its knot. The Pacific exhaled, but no one dared to call it peace. If you were in that cockpit, would you have held the shot or pulled the trigger? Press 1 to hold fire, or 9 to strike first. The dawn after nearly looked too calm to be real. The South China Sea stretched glass flat, hiding the chaos that had nearly swallowed it hours before. On board USS Ronald Reagan, the smell of burnt circuitry lingered, the ghost of the cyber war that never fully ended. Crewmen moved quietly, their faces pale in the light of screens now filled with harmless static. No one spoke of victory. Across the horizon, the Fujian drifted in silence, her decks scarred by the system reboot that had left her blind and vulnerable. From Beijing came a message marked "Routine Navigation Report." Washington replied with one that said almost the same. Both sides pretended nothing had happened, as if pretending could keep the world from asking questions. The 8 amperes Poseidon returned with its images. Fragments of hull, twisted steel, and the faded insignia of the research vessel. Intelligence analysts argued third-party interference or staged deception. No one could prove either. What mattered was what didn't happen. No missile had flown, no sailor had died. And yet the world's balance had tilted just a degree closer to the edge. Hours later, USS North Dakota surfaced briefly to recharge. Its crew looked toward the sunrise, faces expressionless. Above them, E-2D Hawkeye still circled, painting a sky too fragile for war. In the situation rooms of both nations, silence returned, the kind that meant only one thing. Deterrence had worked, for now. But every admiral, every strategist knew that silence doesn't last. It waits. It watches. As the camera pulls away from the calm sea, the narration fades. Peace isn't the absence of war, it's the pause between reloads. Somewhere, a buoy kept blinking, a metronome for nerves that would not sleep. If you believe this fragile peace can last, press 1. If you think the next spark is already lit beneath the waves, press 9. It's 10:30 a.m. on the 22nd of September 2025. In the South China Sea near Woody Island, the guided missile destroyer USS Barry suddenly picks up multiple unknown tracks racing in fast. Alarms blare across the decks. Sailors rush to battle stations, strapping into consoles and grabbing helmets. Outside, over the shimmering horizon, streaks of white smoke appear, missiles already inbound. 12 supersonic weapons, each capable of tearing a ship apart, cut through the sky at Mach 3. Their target, the massive oil tanker Liberty Sentinel, worth $68 billion and carrying millions of barrels of crude. The crew of the destroyer knows, if even one gets through, disaster follows. Seconds tick by. The commander shouts orders. Hatches slam. Missile tubes open. The sea roars with the sound of engines. In the next few moments, the fate of the tanker and America's credibility in these contested waters will be decided. The South China Sea is one of the busiest arteries on the planet. Every day, cargo ships and tankers pass through these lanes, carrying the fuel, goods, and raw materials that keep the modern world running. On this morning, the Liberty Sentinel is one of those lifelines loaded with billions in crude oil and sailing under U.S. protection. The USS Barry isn't here by accident. Washington tasked it with escorting key shipping routes, making sure America's energy supply and global trade remain safe from sudden strikes. For Beijing, these waters are claimed as their own, defended with destroyers, missile batteries, and a web of sensors. Both sides know a spark here could ignite a far larger fire. If the tanker is lost, it's not just one ship that sinks. It's families back home facing higher prices, shelves running empty, factories slowing down. Insurance costs would skyrocket. Allies would question America's ability to protect them, and China would send a message that U.S. warships can't shield the sea lanes. That's the real weight behind the clash. Today's objective for the U.S. Navy is simple. Stop every missile. If they fail, the loss is measured not just in lives, but in America's standing across Asia. If they succeed, it proves the U.S. can still fight and win in the world's most contested waters. The confrontation is raw, dangerous, and personal. One side fights to defend global trade. The other fights to push America out. And right now, missiles are flying toward billions of dollars in oil, and the sailors sworn to protect it. In a showdown like this, whose side are you on? Press 1 if you think the U.S. response is justified. Press 9 if you believe China's challenge changes the game. 10:31 a.m. The radar picture sharpens 12 incoming missiles, all moving at 3 times the speed of sound. The destroyer's combat system locks on. The commander wastes no time. Fire. The first defense comes from the ship's long-range interceptors. 2 SM-6 missiles launch with a roar, boosters lighting the horizon. They streak upward, then curve down to meet the supersonic threats head-on. Seconds later, 2 bright flashes mark direct hits. But the fight is just starting. The Liberty Sentinel is still in danger, and more missiles close fast. The commander orders the second line of defense, ESSM interceptors, shorter ranged but faster to react. They fire in salvos, each guided to intercept within seconds. The destroyer shudders as blast after blast erupts from its vertical launch system. In the combat center, sailors call out in quick bursts. 10 seconds to impact. 6 inbound left. Engaging. Every eye locks on glowing tracks. This isn't practice, it's survival. Outside, explosions light the sky. 2 missiles vanish as ESSM intercepts connect. Another breaks apart mid-air, shredded by shrapnel. Yet more keep pushing through. Warheads intact, speed terrifying. USS Barry coordinates by radio with Allied drones overhead. Real-time data ensures no gap in defense. Still, the sheer number makes every second feel like a lifetime. 3 inbound, 1 high, 2 sea skimmers. The crew braces, close-range systems adjust, preparing for the last-ditch fight. Then it happens. Two intercepts succeed explosions, debris falling into the sea. But one missile slips past. It slams into the Liberty Sentinel's side. A fireball erupts. Black smoke billows upward, the giant tanker rocking from the impact. Damage control alarms ring aboard the tanker. Foam monitors hammer the flames while the captain radios that propulsion holds. Barry launches Nulka decoys and clouds of chaff, forcing the seekers to hunt blind. An EA-18G Growler arrives overhead, jamming hostile radars. AMQ-9B Sea Guardian relays fresh tracks to the ship's plot. The commander steadies his voice. Hold the screen, we finished this. The crew of the USS Barry knows they saved the ship from total destruction, but the enemy attack is far from over. The Liberty Sentinel burns, but it's still afloat. Fire crews fight the blaze, while the USS Barry turns a few degrees to shield the tanker's damaged side. That maneuver narrows the angle, giving the destroyer's weapons a better shot at incoming threats. The enemy isn't done. New radar pings show several objects skimming just above the waves, low-flying cruise missiles, harder to detect and harder to kill. The ESSM interceptors roar once more, slashing across the sky, but the margin for error is razor thin. Two incoming threats are destroyed in mid-air. Another slips closer, only to be shredded by the destroyer's rapid-fire gun. The ship's close-in weapon system spins furiously, radar tracking every flash on the water. The crew feels the pressure mount. Contact, bearing 160. More inbound. The call echoes through the control room. The commander shifts tactics, mixing missiles, guns, and decoys in a layered defense. It's a deadly game of timing. Fire too early and you waste ammunition. Fire too late and you risk destruction. Outside, smoke trails crisscross the horizon. Bright explosions light the sea as intercepts connect, but the battle is relentless. The destroyer maneuvers tighter, throwing up chaff and electronic noise, forcing the enemy missiles to hunt in confusion. Overhead, an EA-18G Growler blankets the battle space in static braking lock-on attempts. AMQ-9B. Sea Guardian feeds precise bearings to Aegis, which recomputes firing solutions every heartbeat, keeping the shield tight amid chaos. Below deck, damage control teams brace for the possibility of a hit. They patch hoses, secure bulkheads, and keep emergency gear ready. Above deck, gunners keep scanning, fingers tight on triggers, knowing a single miss could be their last. Still, the defense holds. Interceptor after interceptor slams into its target. The tanker, scarred and smoking, continues to push through the contested waters, living proof that the defense line isn't broken yet. This is the kind of moment that defines who controls the sea. America's destroyer fights to keep the lane open, while China's missiles test how far US resolve can bend. In your eyes, who's proving stronger here? Press 1 if you think the US defense is unshakable. Press 9 if you believe China's pressure is breaking through. The crew barely has time to breathe before the next surprise hits. Radar operators shout, "New contacts, fast movers, low altitude." These aren't the heavy cruise missiles from before. They're smaller, faster, skimming just meters above the waves. Their size makes them harder to track. Their speed makes them harder to kill. The destroyer's systems strain to keep up. Computers update firing solutions every second, but the low angle means radar returns blur into sea clutter. On deck, gunners squint against the horizon, searching for shapes that almost vanish in the spray. The commander knows they need more than missiles. Bring the close-in weapons online. Shift to rapid fire. The ship's Gatling gun spins up, barrels glowing, ready to throw a wall of lead into the sky. At the same time, Nulka decoys launch again, popping bright trails across the surface to confuse enemy seekers. Overhead, the EA-18G Growler tightens its electronic barrage, jamming guidance systems. The MQ-9B shifts lower, relaying visuals of the new inbound threats. But these sea skimmers dart and weave unpredictably, slipping through gaps in the defensive web. 3 inbound bearing 220, range 1 mile. The shout cuts through the noise. This is knife fight distance. The margin is seconds. Guns chatter, interceptors streak, and explosions spray the sea with shrapnel. But still, one missile punches closer than anyone expected. Alarms wail, crew brace, and the destroyer throws everything it has into the line of fire. Every heartbeat is a gamble. The twist is clear. The first wave was only the beginning. The enemy has shifted tactics, probing for the ship's weak spots. If they land even one hit on the destroyer, the defense screen collapses and the tanker won't survive the next salvo. The final wave closes in. The destroyer has seconds to react. Alarms wail across every deck, sailors brace, and the ship's close-in defenses come alive. The Gatling gun thunders, spitting hundreds of rounds per second. Tracers carve bright arcs into the night sky. One missile detonates in a blinding flash, then another. The sea boils with falling debris. But the threat isn't gone. Two more streaks break through the chaos, flying lower than before, hugging the waves so tightly they vanish in the spray. The ship's radar struggles to keep lock. "Target lost, reacquiring," shouts a sailor. Sweat drips, hands grip consoles, tension stretches thin. Reacquired, range half a mile. The call comes just in time. ESSM interceptors leap from their silos, crossing paths with the sea skimmers. One explodes in a fireball, the other twists, dodges, and keeps coming. Now it's up to the last line of defense. The destroyer's CIWS roars, barrels glowing as it pours tungsten rounds into the path of the incoming threat. The missile closes the gap 500 yards, 400, 300. Each heartbeat feels like forever. At 200 yards, the CIWS connects. The missile bursts apart, fragments slamming into the waves. The ship shudders from the shockwave, spray covering the bow. The horizon clears. For a moment, silence. Then cheers erupt across the decks. They survived. The Liberty Sentinel, scarred and burning from earlier strikes, remains afloat. The USS Barry still stands guard, battered but unbroken. The message is unmistakable. America's shield held, but only just. Every missile cost thousands to intercept. Every second demanded precision under fire. The battle proved both strength and vulnerability, showing allies the US won't back down, while reminding everyone survival hangs by a thread. Damage reports ripple in. Shrapnel scours the aft deck. A radar panel is cracked, and 2 sailors suffer concussions. Medics move fast. Engineers reroute power and spin up backup cooling for the VLS. The commander scans the plot air picture clear. Tankers still making way. Far off, thin contrails hint the counterstrike is forming. This was the closest of close calls. If you had to choose, who came out stronger in this climax? Press 1 if you think the US. Defense showed unshakable power. Press 9 if you believe China proved it can push America to the edge. The battle ends, but scars remain. On the Liberty Sentinel, black smoke rises as crews fight to contain the fire. The tanker is hurt, but it sails on proof of how close disaster came. On the USS, Barry sailors patch holes and tend to the wounded. 3 Americans are dead, 12 more injured. The destroyer is battered, radar scorched, decks ripped by shrapnel, systems strained from combat. Yet the ship floats, weapons armed, crew steady. For China, the cost is heavy. Radar on Woody Island lies in ruins. The airstrip cratered, fuel storage in flames, and 2 corvettes sunk in their harbor. The U.S. counterstrike, carried out by stealth bombers and Tomahawks, crippled the base meant to project power across the South China Sea. Hundreds are dead or injured, losses in the billions. Strategically, the message is clear. The U.S. proved it could weave electronic warfare, drones, bombers, and naval missiles into a coordinated shield and sword. Allies, Japan, the Philippines, Vietnam, Taiwan publicly back Washington. Insurance markets breathe easier, knowing America still stands guard. But Beijing answers differently. Propaganda, cyber strikes, and threats without direct escalation. It avoids a clash for now, but vows revenge. The contest isn't over, it's only shifting into a new phase. For Washington, the meaning is sharp. Energy lifelines are the arteries of modern power. Any attack on them will be met instantly, at any cost. For Beijing, the warning is just as clear. Push too far and risk a blow that cuts deep. Tonight, the sea lanes remain open. America's destroyer survived, but the question lingers. What happens when the next wave is twice as big or comes with missiles from the mainland? That storm waits just beyond the horizon. In your view, did this showdown prove America still holds the line, or that China's challenge is only beginning? Press 1 if you think US. Strength sent the stronger message. Press 9 if you believe Beijing's persistence sets the stage for the next clash.